evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Monday, October 24, 2022. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Let us work together to remove darkness along our path to prosperity, says President Ali. Teen's body found in Caracara Creek. Antegrove woman chopped, burnt by husband, succumbs days after son laid to rest. Electoral reform bill will be brought to Parliament in 1 to 2 months, says JAGDEO, and clash over development to community grounds on polls at Region 5 RDC. Now for the news in detail. Thousands of Guyanese from all walks of life gathered along the Georgetown seawalls to witness the grand spectacle of the 2022 Diwali motorcade, the first to be hosted in person since the COVID-19 pandemic 2 years ago. The brilliant designs of the floats captivated the attention of the masses, and the grand cultural program at the Labon Intention Community Center ground encompassed the warming familiarity of performances that speaks celebration of the Festival of Lights, and ultimately to the unique diversity of the people of Guyana. Let's have a look.
Om Jai Lakshmi Mata, Om Jai Lakshmi Mata, Maya Jai Lakshmi Mata, Tumko nis din sevatam, Tumko nis din sevatam, Har Vishnu Data, Om Jai Lakshmi Mata.
Thank you all to every single person who came out here to celebrate with us this evening. You all really made this.
Years ago to today, there is much darkness that the world and Guyana overcame. And we cannot celebrate tonight without remembering those we have lost in the last 2 years as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Many of them were members of the Dharmic Sabha. Many of them were members of the Guyanese community. We cannot forget that in the last 2 years, our country, we went through 4 of our worst floods. We went through some of our greatest injustices. And I want to thank all of you, all Guyanese, who stood up like a lamp with brilliance in ensuring that justice, rule of law, and freedom, fundamental issues were protected because of the way you stood up for justice, and I thank you on behalf of the people of Guyana. We now have to make the sacrifices. We now have to do the hard work to ensure that every single aspect of darkness is removed along the path of development and prosperity. And as Dr. Bindi said, that darkness starts in our own selves, in our homes, in our communities. We must remove every single plot that exists in our communities and in our home that does not allow us to grow and prosper. We must all rise up and stand up against domestic violence. We must stand up against violence in school. We must stand up for our girls and women. We must stand up for all of humanity, because Hinduism fundamentally respect every single human being and protect the rights of every single human being. One of the greatest things that we can do as humans is to stand up for justice, stand up for dignity. These are things that were injustice was part of that darkness that we had to overcome. And this is what the message of Diwali is about. Removing darkness in every shape and form. Removing darkness and obstacle from our path. And not only our path in our families. Darkness and obstacles that obstruct the development of our communities. Darkness and obstacles that obstruct the development of our homes, our families.
Hundreds of persons turned up early Sunday morning to participate in the Guyana Cancer Foundation's Breast Cancer Awareness Walk, which kicked off from the Kingston Seawall. Participants then made their way along Main Street to the Bank of Guyana before heading back to the Kingston Seawall, where officials addressed the mass crowd on the importance of breast cancer awareness and where several cancer survivors shared their stories. Let's have a look.
Breast cancer is the world's most prevalent cancer. In the UK, they say about 1 in 7 women at some point in their life will suffer from breast cancer. And this is an issue that's close to me. My aunt sadly passed away as a result of breast cancer. My sister is now a survivor of breast cancer. And it's really important to remember that early detection saves lives. There's things we can do to help prevent cancer. Exercise, like this morning. Things like healthy eating. So I really encourage people to do what they can to prevent, but early detection saves lives. We know that of those people that get to early detection, early treatment, about 90% of those people will survive. And for many people that go for a test, they'll find no problem at all, so it's worth going. So please, thank you so much to the Ministry of Health, thank you so much to BB and the Cancer Foundation. Thanks so much to the amazing survivors that we've seen today. Your guts, your passion is just amazing. We need to keep this alive. So thank you so much for so many of you being here, because early detection saves lives.
Breast cancer doesn't discriminate, and I want everyone in Guyana to know that we are now licensed member for American Cancer Society Relay for Life, and come next year early, we'll be hosting a lot of events around the country to honor our survivors and caregivers. We are now in training with American Cancer Society to host these events, and they will be coming next year to host our first event. I'm a stage 3 breast cancer fighter. Was diagnosed last year. My journey wasn't the easy one. Being diagnosed with cancer was horrible. Chemotherapy itself was horrible. Those who did it can relate. It wasn't easy at all. But here I am standing brave and proud in front of all of you, addressing you, and I can say I did it. Yes, and I'm here today. And if I can do it, anyone else can do it. Just fight the fight. Don't forget, fight the fight. Breast cancer doesn't discriminate. It's not a stigma. And let us support our survivors. Honor those who lost. We honor them. And those who are facing the battle right now, we're here if you need us. Reach out to us.
I'm a thyroid cancer survivor. Not once, but twice. My treatment, you cannot get it in Guyana. You have to go overseas. Because I'm 131 radioactive iodine radiation treatment. When I was on my 5th year, I thought, okay, now this is it, I'll be cancer free. So happens I went for a checkup, and there it was again. 27 lymph nodes out, 7 out of the 27 already had cancer. But I'm here, standing strong, with everyone behind me. Right now my goddaughter's in the hospital. She had her last dose of chemotherapy, and she's weak and unable to help herself. Last night at 11 o'clock, I had to leave my house with my daughter on her hand to go to the hospital to change her pampers and change the linen because it was soaked and no one was looking after her. The day before we went there, she was bleeding from her hand. She called the nurses them and no one was there to help her. I love the support we're getting here today, but cancer is 365 days for survivors, not only today alone, and the day after.
The body of 15-year-old Kenita Angela Graves of Lot 24 Caracara Linden was this morning fished out of the Caracara Creek in Region 10. The teen had reportedly plunged into the creek for a swim at around 10 hours on Saturday, and she never resurfaced. The police have said that the teen had left home at about 9:30 hours, unknowing to her mother, and had gone to a house at Lower Caracara, where she normally goes to play with children living there. Devika, whose house the teen would normally visit, said the teen was standing by a creek located at the back of her yard when she warned the teen if she cannot swim, move away from the creek. Devika has said she left the teen standing there and was about to go into her home when she heard someone shouting for help. As such, she rushed to the scene and saw the teen in the water, helpless and sinking. Devika said she began to shout for help because she does not know how to swim either, and a short while after, the teen's body sank under the water. She said that persons in the area rushed to the creek and immediately started to search for the teen, but the strong current in the creek prevented them from locating her. Today, a search party found the teen's body in the creek. We now tell you that 53-year-old Sharon Scott of Anns Grove, East Coast, Demerara, who was attacked and brutally burnt about her body by her abusive husband, succumbed to her injuries while receiving medical attention on Sunday. The woman's son, 21-year-old Sion Scott, was also hacked to death in his sleep during the attack. After committing the act, the suspect, Leon Bob, took his own life. The woman's death was confirmed by a family member who told this newscast that it was only about a week ago the couple's son was laid to rest. Just about a month ago, Leon Bob went berserk and chopped his son to death in his sleep, after which he turned the blade on his wife, chopping her to the neck and setting her on fire. Police stated that Leon and his wife Sharon had an ongoing domestic dispute after he'd accused her of having an extramarital relationship. It was reported that he physically abused the woman on several occasions, but his son would often intervene in a bid to save his mother. However, on the day of the incident, it is suspected that the man attacked and killed his son first to prevent him from going to the rescue of his mother. It was reported that the young man, who was a security officer, was found lying motionlessly on a mattress with a wound on the left side of his neck. In addition, the suspect was then found lying on a blood-soaked bed in a room with a large wound to his abdomen and his intestines protruding, and one to his neck. He was taken to the hospital but later died. The woman, on the other hand, was found lying in a pool of blood and her body was burnt. She was rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital in a critical state where she remained until her demise. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
It happens. Your septic tank is full. All the waste from your toilet goes into your septic tank through the sewage line. When your tank is full, the two most common indicators are an overflowing tank and an overflowing toilet. It is recommended that Sevon's Waste Management empty your septic tank every 2 to 3 years to avoid any embarrassment. And before you can say, shh, it's gone. Call Sevon's Waste Management today at 218-1455 or 218-1156.
Cheryl, girl, you want me? Sorry, I'm interrupting y'all.
Marla, I'm here taking the census.
Girl, you done got a husband already, huh?
Miss, I am a census taker, going door to door so that everyone can be interviewed and counted in the National Census 2022.
What is the census though?
Well, the Population and Housing Census is a count of the population and all the buildings every 10 years.
Getting counted transforms an entire nation.
From Region 1 to Region 10.
You know what? I believe our village needs a health center.
I think it needs some roads too. You see the man boots out there, how it's full of mud, eh?
That's why I'm asking Mrs. De Silva a few questions from our questionnaire. We record the answers and then the data is used to help shape the future of the country.
Oh, so the two y'all not...
Oh gosh.
Hi, my name is Jalen Softly and I'm very excited to have GT&T set up this fiber cable. As you can see, I'm young, so I'll be using this Wi-Fi, this internet, to be doing my everyday browsing and searching and, you know, just my homework and assignments, playing games, watching YouTube, you know, the regular stuff. I really enjoy the service. I think it's extremely great, and you also have like the free minutes, so for that, you know, if you're in trouble, you call your parents or someone.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. The People's Progressive Party civic government will be bringing amendments to the Representation of the People's Act bill, which will provide critical amendments to Guyana's electoral laws to the National Assembly in a month or two. Here are the details from Rupastinarine.
Vice President Dr. JAGDEO made this announcement during a recent interview on his social media page. According to him, these amendments will address a number of loopholes that allowed elements within the Guyana Elections Commission to attempt to rig the 2020 general and regional elections.
In the new law that is going to Parliament to be passed within a matter of a month or two, the polling places have to be identified long before and notified to the political parties. So you don't have that situation. We're saying for every number of polling for individuals, like 500 individuals, there must be a polling place. And it must be within a proximity close to where they live. All of these things are being placed in law now. So we don't have to depend so much on the individuals in JAGDEO, because we're fixing the system.
While listing some of the other reforms that will be brought, such as publishing of election manuals and real-time uploading of statement of polls, he also pointed out that the Partnership for National Unity Alliance for Change do not want these reforms to the electoral laws.
Before you start tabulating any votes at the regional level, all the statements of poll would be uploaded, has to be uploaded by JAGDEO. So if you have a good calculator, the night before, when those are uploaded, and the election night and the next morning, before 7 o'clock in the morning, if everything is uploaded the same night, you should be, every citizen of this country should be able to know who won the elections, long before the tabulation is done. A number of other things fixed, and serious penalties for breaches. Serious penalties for breaches. So the law is now before us. APNU doesn't want that passed. Today they issued a statement saying they're opposed to any changes in Europa. They don't want that change. So this making elections more transparent and holding public officials more accountable and closing all the loopholes for capricious action.
It was announced a few days ago that the Parliamentary Affairs and Governance Ministry will be convening a national stakeholders consultation on the draft amendments to Guyana's electoral laws on October 25th at the Arthur Chung Conference Center in Liliendal, Greater Georgetown. This consultation is an integral element of the Government of Guyana's commitment to implement a consultative, inclusive, and participatory process regarding electoral reform.
The opposition, a Partnership for National Unity Alliance for Change coalition in the Region 5 Democratic Council and the Regional Administration were involved in a heated clash over the development to community grounds in the region. Our Berbice correspondent, Andrew Carmichael, reports that the administration is claiming that the opposition failed to make any representation in way of proposals for the region and therefore should not be speaking on such topics.
Several community grounds in Region 5 are in a state of disrepair, and there are no proposals in that region's proposed budget for 2023 to have those addressed. Councillor Dillon Crawford made specific mention of the ground at Seafield Tempe Neighborhood Democratic Council, noting that across the region many community grounds are being neglected. However, Regional Vice Chairman Ryan Peters told the RDC that many councillors do not have the right to speak on such issues.
So, Mr. Chair, it's a deliberate act on my part not to submit anything, and I will say that again, because it makes, to my mind, no sense, because nothing is being done. However, I would like to say, Mr. Chairman, on bruising our 2023 budget proposal, I noticed 33 works, and in those 33 works, if my colleague would like to say how many of those works have been done in communities that does not support this administration.
I want to take this opportunity also, Mr. Chairman, to assure the people that lives within that constituency. Although by admission, the honorable member would have stated that if he refused to participate in making meaningful representation on their behalf, I want to assure them that they have a government that cares, and they will continue to benefit from developmental work like every other community.
Seafield Tempe NDC has been benefiting equally.
Thanks to the government.
No. He said that over the years he has been making proposal and not much has been done. And I'm sure that he is referring to the period prior to 2020, because over the last 2 years we have seen tremendous development in this region. And I want to say this to Council, that only recently central government has approved over 130 roads for region number 5. And Seafield Tempe NBC is included in that.
In the Seafield Tempe area, Ramphal said 6 roads would be upgraded, while 21 will be done in the Rosignol-Zeelust Neighborhood Democratic Council area, including 3 at Rosignol. As it relates to community grounds in the region, the regional chairman said that is a work in progress. Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
Lawana McAllister joins us now to report that amid consecutive travel advisories from the U.S. Embassy in Georgetown, warning its citizens to exercise caution in certain areas in the country, Home Affairs Minister Robeson Ben assured that the government is continuously working to enhance nationwide security, not only for locals' own well-being, but also to improve its image on those internationally circulated advisory recommendations.
While persons are of the opinion that these advisories apply to the lack of security nationwide, Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben said this is not so. He said that it only applies to certain areas in Guyana that continue to see a reoccurrence of criminal activities, specifically robbery. As such, he assured that stringent efforts are being made to strengthen national security.
I'm not aware that there is any particular advisory on travel to Guyana. There may have been at some point some questioning of going to some particular areas in the country, in the city, like many other cities, even in the United States. Georgetown has areas which are difficult areas to go through at particular times of the day or night. The Stabroek Market area could be challenging during the day even. We're working at these things.
Earlier this year, the U.S. Embassy issued a security warning regarding the Stabroek and border market areas in Georgetown. The embassy's statement said that the city of Georgetown is rated critical for crime, especially with incidents of robberies, sexual assault, vehicle accidents, and homicides. They warned that this is particularly in high-risk areas after dark, while advising their personnel not to independently visit the Stabroek Market. Furthermore, mission personnel were advised to use extreme caution when visiting Border Market during the day and not to independently visit Border Market at night. Just a day after the report, the Guyana Police Force conducted a walkabout of the area to begin mapping out strategies for better policing in the capital city. Meanwhile, Minister Ben has reported that the country has seen a reduction in serious crime.
Surprisingly, we struck down the violent crime rate by some 20% compared to the previous year. So 2021 against 2020, serious crime was reduced by 20% in totality. We might have thought that it was influenced by issues related to COVID, but much of it had to do with our providing more assets to the police force, new vehicles, much more material in terms of their operations, more focus and energy in terms of crime fighting.
Lawanda McAllister reporting for the Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
There will be no closures of the Demerara Harbor Bridge on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed on Tuesday, October 25th, 2022 at 16:15 for a period of 1.5 hours.
Ramson announces facilities for badminton, table tennis, and Bihari goes for gold at National Juniors. Details of these stories and more in the Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Superbet com certeza a sua melhor escolha. Com mais de 200 jogos online com Superbet, você aposta é para ganhar. Cadastre-se hoje, tá esperando o quê? Basta acessar o www.superbet.gy. Clicar em registrar e você já está apto a participar. Lembrando que o Superbet não é recomendado para menores de 18 anos.
Heavy-duty equipment owners and mechanics transfer and dispense grease easily, quickly and precisely from 110 to 132-pound drums with a roughneck air-operated mobile grease pump kit from Sylvies. This durable product saves maintenance time, is designed to be portable, and keeps impurities out of your grease drum. Shop now at sylviesonline.com or visit our 31 High and Hatfield Street store. We also deliver. Call or WhatsApp 623-7755 for more info.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.
Cheryl, girl, you won't believe. Sorry, I'm interrupting y'all.
Marla, I'm here taking the census.
Girl, you done got a husband already, huh?
Miss, I am a census taker, going door to door so that everyone can be interviewed and counted in the National Census 2022.
What is the census though?
Well, the Population and Housing Census is a count of the population and all the buildings every 10 years.
Getting counted transforms an entire nation.
From Region 1 to Region 10.
You know what? I believe our village needs a health center.
I think it needs some roads too. You see the man boots out there, how it's full of mud, eh?
That's why I'm asking Mrs. De Silva a few questions from our questionnaire. We record the answers and then the data is used to help shape the future of the country.
Oh, so the two y'all not...
Oh gosh.
We call.
At John Lewis Styles, we carry only first quality men's and women's clothing, footwear, and accessories. As authorized dealers, our items come directly from the manufacturing brands and are available in all sizes and colors. What we sell was never on display in another store. It's time you know the truth about what you buy. Come visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.